This is the story of a military officer who to teach children in a school. He goes, but all the kids in that school are there are more than they know how to. Let's improve it and see today's story. In the beginning of the story, Henry, which was previously he was a military officer, but now he has retired because he is no longer able to live his life, wants to spend his life as a teacher, who he goes to his old school for, where the principal tells him to teach. If he has no experience, then he should not get this job. I can't get it, but then Henry is there, shows a letter signed by the authorities, after seeing which the principal immediately, he gives her a teaching job and tells her that she was put in the most spoiled class in school has to be taught, which any teacher of the school, I am not able to teach because all the students in that class, there are very few children who listen to their teachers. Maybe they do less and tell them more. So now Henry is talking about section D, gets a teaching job, and the next. Teach those GANGSTE'S. Children in day school goes to their class for this, but here, even after seeing any student he doesn't have any feeling does not give, those people behave in such a way that no one has come to his class and everything. Some people are busy in their own fun. If he is sleeping in class, then there is no guitar left that he is trying to impress the girl, and even that some students burnt the store right here. I am making Maggie. School is not running soon. This is camping going on, and poor Henry, that there is no respect at all. So now Henry, to get the attention of all those kids, I would pass comments on the work of all of them. Hey, listen, Mag is not made in 2 minutes. It takes 10 minutes, and in this way, he gets the attention of all the children, attracts towards itself, and then when the kids look at him, he looks at them. He gives his introduction and gives his name and writes the phone number on the board. But seeing his handwriting, all the kids made fun of him. They start making fun of it, and then they start laughing. One of the students calls him, and I would tell him to quietly get out of here. But Henry takes it as a joke, and he starts laughing. So now those kids, they get back to their old jobs again, which he was already doing. And now they start ignoring Henry. Seeing Henry fire from a square in class, he hits the spring, and all the kids, they start getting wet, after which all the children, they fly in a panic and head towards Henry, and this is how Henry got everyone together, drew the attention of the students. Then he gives his introduction to all those children and welcomes them into his class. Now after the class is over, there are 5 least group of backbenchers who brought rank to smoke a cigarette in the sports room, go to where their group leader was, Jack, who has sex with a girl of senior class. He was cross, and when his friends came to know about this, when she walks, those people start making fun of her, and then there are the rich and spoiled ones at school, a group of kids of a basketball player, comes, who is very annoyed with both of them, and both these groups are enemies of each other. They make fun of Jack because that poor guy is very poor. Brother-in-law, you recognized me after that when basketball players group. While they were practicing, Jack was also there. I was watching it with my friends here. Jack sets out to avenge his humiliation, drops bottles one by one on the ground, which the leader of the basketball team falls, and at seeing this, Jack and all his friends started laughing at him. But while doing so, their English, the teacher saw them, and she gives punishment. Now try to escape from punishment, for that student does a prank with the teacher and make him spill water on the table than when the teacher is cleaning her desk. So they took advantage of this opportunity and came here. Then we run away from the school. We see the principal, who is very upset because his school repertoire is good, because of which the education board is not, to cut 20% of annual funding is going to be there. So from education board in school, some people also came because they wanted to know, were they running the school properly or not. And how is he doing in school? Henry now uses the funding to teach those kids in your class. He is taken, but there in the class, all those. The students tried to prank him. A bucket of water was placed above the door. But when Henry opens the door, he would hit that falling bucket and throw it away. And seeing this, all the kids were surprised. Then Henry goes to teach those kids and asks Jack to give him his cigarette. He asks for the packet because on seeing it, he understands, I thought that he must be smoking cigarettes. Then Jack would give him that packet of cigarettes and wonders what he's going to do. Now Henry takes a cigarette out of it, asks one of them what are the 3 ingredients in cigarettes? If the student can skip it, then that student can do that. all 3 ingredients. It will be fun if you make it and drink it. So now Henry, that student is asked to skip today's class. He gives permission because he gave the correct answer. Along with that, he had given him a tip also after seeing all the kids would bang their desks and win, that they also have to skip classes. So now Henry should get a chance to get all of them. He would give 1 cigarette to each student and asks them if smoking cigarettes. He knew very well what would happen. If he had told the story of the harms of smoking cigarettes like this, if he told them, they would not pay heed to what he said will give. So he tells them that the cigarettes... How would one know if there are wires in one's lungs from drinking? This was the first time that all the children in the class listened to him attentively. And then he was showing interest in studying. After the bell rings, Henry calls all the children, asks for his cigarettes back, and Jack and his companions unwillingly also have to return the cigarettes the same day. Basketball player in the cafeteria, Bruce, a friend of Captain Jack, fell. Then what happened between these 2 groups? A fight begins between them and they. They started throwing chairs, tables, and everything else at each other, with the result that Henry, those 5 children in the class of 19 were temporarily suspended because the school authorities started the fight for those 5 children. Only after this, she feels responsible for getting it done. The same day after school was over, Henry went with the 5 looks at the student's file so that he can. Now you can know more about the first of them. The child's name was Jufa, who was a Pakistani. He was the son of an immigrant, so he was Muslim. He was discriminated against for being even his neighbors made several remarks against him. I have also filed a police case for bar theft, but still, in spite of all this, Jufa loved music very much, and his dream was that he would be a very big musician. Became second. The student is Dan, whose father is completely different from him. They don't even love me because they wanted to, that if their son had been born instead of Dan, it would have been very good, and that is why he was Denon. Then when Denon's brother, when he was born, they loved him very much, and they treated him like a king's son, but he didn't care for Denon at all. Danon tried to get his father's love, for which he tried very hard, for the boys play card games like that and play like boys. He had begun to live even. He even got his hair cut so that the father should love and care for him too. But all this did not help him in any way. Denon began to feel that no matter what he did, but his father will hate him for this. Later, there were 2 brothers named Bruce and Cross my mother had run away with someone else when I was a child, because of which Bruce's father became addicted to alcohol, and Bruce tried to escape this reality. I have now made myself addicted to video games. Cross takes care of him and his father, and he worked at a small grocery store. Then when there was Henry Jacks, when he looks at the file, he finds something about Jack in it. I do not get any information after that. We are shown Jack, who works at a hotel. I used to work as a waiter there, man, betting on MMA fight. Chia Nin arrives, who is with his business partner Gina. That's where he parties with. Jack was serving. So he felt like eating. Janine Lighter appears, which Jack uses when he is ginning. I wasn't looking at her. But then he steals it away. If he is caught, then now the life of the jinn, the men beat him a lot. And then when those people, if they see his ID, then they will know from it. It turns out he is a student. Then they give him some money and Jianin. He also offers her a food delivery job on. The other hand, we see Henry, who had gone to Jufa's house to meet him. But here both father and son are running away after stealing a ticket, and there were a lot of people behind them. So now Henry stops them all, and only Jufa's father would have been justified to them. Then there's Jufa and Henry a bridge, where a band is performing. Now he was a confidant of Henry. Juffa perform with that band to increase. He starts doing this, seeing which even Jufa gets shocked, gets confidence to play music, and he joins that band Tooth. That makes him feel really good, because till date he has never done anything for so many people. I did not perform in front of you. After that, we Bruce and Chris look at whose father. He orders liquor for himself at midnight, so both the brothers refuse them. This makes his father angry, and he throws both the brothers out of his house. They tell me to leave. Then the next day, Henry meets both their fathers, and he explains to them that they should take care of their son and take care of your responsibilities, should understand for which, and they should drink alcohol, recommends going to a rehab center. On the other side, Denon's father was waiting for him, brings makeup items and tells her that she should behave like a girl because he didn't want Denon to be a boy. But Denon got angry with this thing comes because his father never came to his. He did not care for her. He always used to do this, used to show that Denon is not good now here. Denon puts all that makeup on her brother's face, reaches and the car keys from here. But when she drives, as she was leaving, Henry comes in front of her, who stops him and tells him that without a license, it is illegal to drive a vehicle. If she has to go, then she should go with him. So now both of them go for a go-kart race, but Henry called his father here too, because that was a race between father and daughter. Then he wants to get it done between these two. The race begins in which both the father's daughters do not care for each other at all, and both of them went out of the track where a truck drives past. Denon's go-kart climbs up, but Deneen escapes. And seeing this, Denon's father felt very sad, arrives, and he starts crying because they didn't know that Deneen had survived. Seeing this, Denon realizes that his father loves him very much, and she goes to her father's feet and makes him happy. Now the next day, Jack and Bruce is having an alcoholic drink with a group of people to interview a recovered Minare taken, where upon reaching both of them are shocked because the person taking the interview was his own father. Now here the students ask him that why did he start drinking alcohol? He says he loves his wife very much, but he used to love her the most. She ran away with someone else in difficult times, because of which he started drinking alcohol. Then he forgot all that his too. They also have kids to raise. Here, they are not told that Jack and Bruce is his son, but he is here with him. They apologize, seeing which Chris and both Bruce and he start crying there. On the other side, we see Jack, who is now working with Jia Nin after MMA betting had started here. Jia Nin, her next in a fighter's drink during a fight, asks to mix drugs in exchange for which I'll give him lots of money. Jack is like that. I did not want to do this, but Jinin made me do it, forces him to do it, because he lots of money when your fighter loses. So now before the fight, Jack is with that fighter that he puts drugs in the drink, but he gets caught doing it, which makes those people, now let's beat him up and put him in a locker, turn it off. And then, after a while, Henry comes in and asks them if he saw a student here, so here. One of them is taking him from here. He tells him to leave, but then Jack comes out from the locker. He starts shouting help. Help. Henry realizes that they have kidnapped Jack. If he is trapped, then he is with those people now. They start fighting and he alone overpowers them all. Then finally he comes here to his best fights with the fighter and knocks him out, whose next fight was going to happen. After this, we see Jack and Henry at the hospital, where Henry is having his wounds bandaged. Jack was here to tell the police everything. He tries, but Jinin stops him and keeps him quiet. He makes it happen, and now this is being talked about in the news media. It also reaches to the point that Henry is a professional to save the student beat up the MMA fighter. So now Henry, he became popular in the whole school, and everyone, the students, began to believe him, and he started respecting her. We are then shown in flashback when Henry was at school. He used to be very naughty, and he piano at a school program. Water balloons were thrown at the child while playing, who played the piano for his parents. And then later on, Henry told that he fought with the child and even broke his hand due, to which Henry was suspended. So Henry had to go to the U.S. We see Henry in class where all the kids respect him, and he was giving his full attention to Henry's teaching. And prepare for your upcoming college entrance exams. I prepare for the exam with all my heart, but here everybody except Bruce is studying. I was working hard, but Bruce, I was unable to focus on my studies because he has become addicted to drugs. Then we come to know that where Arto escaped from family responsibilities, Jack resorted to video games. Hindi said this because of the stress of his family. I had started taking drugs from, but later he got addicted to it, due to which he lost his. I was not able to focus on my studies, and That's why he does well in his mock tests, too. Henry was unable to perform anymore. Seeing such a condition, he promised to help him, but Bruce's condition worsens over time and the depression got worse, and comes in and jumps down from his balcony, after which he was taken to the hospital. Then it is known that he is now going to Ka-Wai. It has happened, and then the media breaks this news. She folds her face and puts it in front of the public, and Bruce put the blame of jumping on the school, and Henry is given, because of which now Henry is called to the school education board, and they will cancel his teaching license. So now Henry is kicked out of school. But when he is leaving from school, there were many children in the school who tried to stop him, because they don't want Tower expecting Henry to leave school, because of which he was very sad. So all those students were now, they decide that they will go to their next, will perform very well in the exam. And I will prove this in front of the education board that Henry is a good teacher, so he is now prepare for your upcoming exam from the day. They start working with twice the effort. And then when the day of the exam comes, Jack, Bruce, and all the kids in class were called by Henry's phone. A message comes that he has to answer them in the school exam then. When we reach school, we come to know about this, that all this is the doing of Jianin. Because he wanted to teach Henry a lesson, he is now imprisoning all these students in school so that they don't give their exams. Paige and Henry never return to school. After some time, Henry was at school. When he reaches here, he gets to know about Janin. Everything becomes known that he has student if, he has taken it in his possession. Then he will soon. Seiji goes to Anyin and all his free, all the students by fighting with the men. Then the student gives his exam for let's go from here quickly, but here, Henry was still fighting with Jianyin now. Jianin tells him during the fight that he is the same boy whose hand was cut in childhood. Henry had broken it, and because of that, he was never able to enter a music competition, and he never played the piano again after that. And he blames Henry for all this. Henry tries to reason with her, but he attacks Henry again. But when Henry finally stabs him with a knife, he was about to stop and tell her his apologizes for a mistake he made as a child, after which he goes from here to there. We see all the students who'd reached the examination hall, and you give your exams, and then after a few weeks, later, when their results come, those children all had passed with good marks. Because of this, his school reached a very high rank. Therefore, the education board also goes to them, gives extra funds to the school for 20 rupees, which makes the school principal very happy. He goes there, and we see Jinin, who has now started playing the piano again. And on the other side, Bruce was recovering, and he promises that he will definitely give the entrance exam next time. Then after that, we take Henry back to school. Let's see, and he will do his next batch raining fire spring on the student. And this is where the story ends. Thank you for watching.